guys, it's Gaba VR. I'm a 360 content creator and photographer, publishing 360 travel videos and tutorials, showing you creative photo and video techniques. And this time I show you an exciting camera rotation transition trick we can achieve the most budget-friendly and easiest way with a 360 camera. We can see a very similar effect in a music video from A$AP Rocky. And in 2018 the guys from Incamera also tried to recreate it with a lot of effort. But as you can see, it wasn't the perfect solution, as they had to build a huge construction for the rotating camera movements. And of course it would have been very difficult to use it outdoors or move it to different locations. But today I show you my way, how I managed to recreate this effect almost anywhere, even outdoors, just like we can see it in the original music video. So let's go hiking and shoot some nice B-rolls in 360. Now I shoot with Insta360 One X, which is a small 360 degrees action cam, but if you are planning a higher budget production, of course you can go higher in resolution too. Now I shoot in 5.7K. And just like in most of my videos, this time I also have to talk about shooting and editing separately. So besides shooting with a 360 camera, this time I use a special accessory, which is a modified selfie stick. And I will do some camera movements during shooting and add some further ones during post-production. In one of my previous videos you could have seen this tiny accessory when I was shooting an advanced bullet time video. I inserted it between the selfie stick and the bullet time handle to play around with angles during shooting. This time I put this ball head between the selfie sticks, so I will have a long but not totally straight selfie stick. And this angle will help me create special camera movements. The point is that I have to draw a nice arc in the air above my subject from the bottom through the top and to the bottom again. In this case I found this modified shape to be the best for me, but of course we can play around with different solutions. I used two invisible selfie sticks, but we can replace one of them with a longer and stronger pole if needed. And we can play around with further solutions too. For instance, if we have an extra long extended selfie stick, in certain cases we can use it without any modification. Or we can use our bullet time handle instead of the tiny ball head, depending on the scene. The straight 3 meters long pole is not always the best choice, because sometimes we can't put it high enough, and that's when a 90 degrees angle is the most comfortable, using the bullet time handle with two selfie sticks. But in most of the cases I prefer using the ball head, which allows me to go far enough while providing me a nice height above the subjects. But besides playing around with different selfie stick solutions, there are some further important rules during shooting. First, we have to move the camera really smoothly in a big arc, without any vibrations and breaks, taking care of the shadows. A visible shadow could ruin a shot, so we have to be conscious during setting up a scene by avoiding shadows on the visible surfaces or even moving our subject into the shades instead of shooting in a direct sunlight. Then it depends on the style we are going for, but we always have to add depth to the scene using foreground elements to make a nice transition between the shots. Sometimes the direction of the movements creates a nice natural connection between the shots, but we can make it even better with some in-camera transitions. For instance, I start all of the shots in a really low camera position, almost touching the ground. Or I place my talent on a small hill, so I can go even lower. And I can use small rocks or further objects, like fences and the back of the talents at the cut. So I'm thinking forward even during shooting, creating the basis of the transitions in camera. Then I import the footages in Premiere, create a new sequence from the first clip and start editing. I cut the footage to small pieces. As I repeated the same movement several times, finally I can pick up the best takes. I have recorded everything in 2 directions, so I just reverse every second takes and finally they will be similar. After picking up the final takes, it's time to create those really cool camera movements I was going for. I'm not sure exactly how they achieved these camera movements in the original video, but now I will recreate them by reframing my 360 videos. So here comes the magic. First, I drag and drop a reframing plugin on my footage. Different plugins have different advantages, but now I will use the old GoPro VR reframe plugin. After setting up the starting points, I create keyframes for all the parameters, because this time I will have to modify all of them. I'm starting for a low camera position, but moving the playhead a little bit forward, you can see that the scene is changing really fast. It's only a couple of frames and I have to modify the angles. This time I have to turn my virtual camera to the ground and make sure that my feet don't get into the frame. The hardest part is at the end of the arc, as I have to turn the virtual camera upside down. At least this is the most difficult for me, but I try my best to make everything straight and leveled. And of course I double check whether I'm finally totally out of the frame and my boots don't ruin the shot. Then I add a smooth transition between the states, turning on ease in and ease out. And finally you can see how these camera movements follow the arc, and it really looks like the effect in the original music video. But it's not only about creating these camera movements. This technique is about transitions, putting all of the footages together. And it's much more exciting than creating one single shot like this. So after keyframing each takes, it's time to create a longer sequence of them. Depending on the in-camera transition I applied during shooting, I can match the different takes, for instance creating a transition with the ground or using some fences or one of the talents on the scene. And as you can see, we can play around with different transitions, and it's worth planning them during shooting. It makes post-production easier, while the takes with some foreground elements look the best in the end. I just try to refine everything at the cuts, and that's all. Maybe I speed up some of the clips a little bit, or I create a speed ramping, making the transition a little bit faster. Or it's not only about the visual effects. A lot of people often forget about it, but I think sounds are really important too, even when we work with such a B-roll sequence. So I add some whoosh effects and even more a dog bark to a certain point of the video, which actually makes it really funny, I think. I think this sequence looks nice, showing you some snapshots from our hiking. But of course you can shoot videos like this almost anywhere, both indoors and outdoors. And I believe this is the easiest and cheapest way to create such an effect, by using a 360 camera and a short post-production. I hope you will like and use this technique, shooting some really cool B-rolls during traveling. And if you like this tutorial, please thumbs up, and for further 360 contents and tutorials, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and see you next time!